Center is where we tell you the ongoing successes on the war against terror. It will give you a panorama. In the face of an ongoing insurgency in the Northeast. Welcome back. We have Valkamia Amadou Haruna on the program. She's a security expert and a program officer with Partners West Africa, Nigeria. Welcome, Val.
Thank you.
Now, the Boso tragedy, could it have been averted?
Absolutely. I think there was a problem with execution and planning of that attack that had happened, that the military went in there. Something went wrong in terms of the intervention that was being done. What I'm hearing is that it was solely a military intervention and the police was not aware of the military going to mop up those arms in the community.
Now, the question we're asking and other Nigerians are asking, if it was the police that went in, would there have been a more peaceful outcome or more success?
I think it's the issue here would be that anything could have happened. The police might have gone in and the same incident might have occurred. The police might have gone in and the same incident might not have occurred. It depends on the approach and the way it was being executed. I think it's important that people know that Boso local government has experienced a seasonal crisis of Fulani headsmen and the villagers and the farmers in that community. As such, this time around, the community was tired of the attack and decided that they would defend themselves. So the mopping up of arms, being claimed by the military is the fact that, yes, there were arms being stored in those communities as a process of self-defense, which means that the community felt that security agencies have failed them in protecting them as a community. That, I think, is another discussion on its own. And if this crisis has been occurring, it should be an anticipated crisis. And so the villagers, more or less, it was a surprise for them. It was another surprise attack that was coming, and so this incident occurred, which was unfortunate to have mentioned the least.
Now, does this raise questions about our internal security mechanism in the country?
Absolutely. I think the military has become like the primary focus of Nigerian security now. For every crisis, for every conflict, for every issue that occurs in Nigeria, we hear the deployment of the military, the use of kinetic force to solve these issues. I think it's becoming too rampant and has to question the rationale that what is then the duty of the Nigerian police force? Are they to come after to clean up after some of these messes have been made? Or how then do we reinforce the capabilities of the Nigerian police force to better strategically place them as the number one internal security mechanism that can be used in policing the country, and where those duties are seen to be weighing on them, then we can call the military in to assist in some of these issues.
You raise a fundamental point, the increasing use of military in internal security efforts. What does this augur well for us as a society?
I think generally in Africa it has become a norm that for every crisis that happens that the military is being called in, and I see Nigeria not being different from that. For me, it will be that what are the challenges that the Nigerian police force is facing? What are the capability strength? We need to re-examine the Nigerian police force to see what are what are the issues that they're facing that needs to be strategically built in order to ensure that their duties are fully being felt by communities, by the society at large. And I think the Nigerian police force is the strongest, and I know that some of these issues that happen, that they're actually up to the task to tackle it. And so every commissioner of police is in charge of their state and must ensure that they work with local communities, voluntary groups, vigilante groups that are set up in different communities, in ensuring that intelligence gathering is better being collected and analyzed properly to ensure that we avert some of these crises that are occurring.
Finally, on this segment, I know you have worked with, you have done a lot on internal security in times past. What do you recommend to stop this perennial, constant problem between herdsmen and farmers?
We must understand that globally there's a climate change situation. Maybe for us in Nigeria, we're not looking at the crisis from that angle, in the sense that this issue was not there before, and even if it were, it was that the fact that if a Fulani man comes to your farm or his animals destroy some of the crops, they ensure that they drop, a compensation for that. But we're seeing that there's now an increasing hostility that it's absolutely, you ask yourself, where are we coming from? What is this happening? I think what we need to do is communities have to dialogue. There has to be community forums where representative of everybody is seated. And also the traditional rulers must be involved. The role of women in inclusive security is important in ensuring that some of these problems are averted. People need to sit and talk about their issues and objectively come out to see how they can solve their problem. And also state government need to be on deck in ensuring that they provide some of these alternatives, in ensuring that there's better securement. The Fulani herdsmen are part of Nigeria. They are. It's unfortunate, or the system does not permit them to reside in a particular location. They have to move. So we must also put them in building of the country as a whole. So they have to be factored into some of these policies that we make, so that they don't feel isolated as a whole.
You have heard it loud and clear from Valkamia Amadou Haruna. Community dialogue is the way to go to end the perennial farmers herdsmen clashes around the country. Valkamia Amadou Haruna is a security expert. We are glad to have you. We hope to have her sometime in the nearest future. Stay tuned as we take a short break.
Terrorism is not jihad. It is cruel, wicked, and man's inhumanity to man. Both Islam and Christianity abhor the killings of the weak and defenseless. There can be no development without peace and security. See something, say something. Let's give peace a chance.
Welcome back. On our last segment today, we will be visiting Gwoza, the once de facto capital of the Boko Haram terrorist group. Listen to his story.
Gwoza is located at about 135 kilometers southeast of Maiduguri in Borno State, one of the largest local government areas with over 270,000 inhabitants, according to the 2006 population census. With rocky and hilly terrain, rocks of about 1,300 meters above sea level, it forms a natural barrier between Nigeria and Cameroon, with the Mandara Mountains lying in between. With Gwoza lying close to the notorious Sambisa forest, the hideout of the Boko Haram terrorist group, Gwoza was taken over by the Boko Haram terrorists in June 2014. Earlier on May the 30th, the emir of Gwoza, Idris Timta, was killed by the terrorist group shortly after an all-out invasion known by many as the Gwoza massacre. No fewer than 300 villagers lost their lives, murdered in cold blood, forcing residents to flee to Cameroon. On August the 24th, Boko Haram claimed that it had formed an Islamic caliphate in Gwoza town. The occupation lasted for almost 10 months as on March the following year, 2015, a reinvigorated Nigerian military pushed the terrorists out of Gwoza. This was just one out of several victories which marked the military's total takeover of territories from the terrorists. Images of burnt houses, shops, and the people desperately in need of food and shelter became significant with Gwoza, a once active and densely populated community.
We have come to the end of today's episode. Command Center will continue to stay on the Boso tragedy. Join us same time, same station next week. Also like our Facebook page on STV Command Center and follow us on Twitter at Command Center 16. Do have a blessed week. But remember, there can be no peace without development. Security is every man's responsibility. Command Center is where we tell you the ongoing successes on the war against terror. It will give you a panorama. In the face of an ongoing insurgency in the northeast.
Ah!